Alright, today is Friday, May 7th, 2011, and we'll begin the interview with the question, what is the first tractor you remember?
Well, the first tractor we got was in 1944. It was a John Deere, but before that, Dad used the horse. He used to do all the work with the horse plow and cultivate, and I used to ride on the weeder there when he used to weed it. The corn was small for weed control because we didn't have no herbicides and stuff back then. But our first tractor was a John Deere in 1944.
Alright, so tell me about the history of the land that you farmed.
Well, my grandfather came over from St. George, Azores, there in 1888, immigrated over here, and he bought the farm in Rehoboth in 1902. And well, naturally he was married when he bought the farm, and it's been in. He's had it, my dad's had it, I've farmed, and my son has farmed. So we've been through 4 generations of the farm there. It was a 100-acre farm, but now that we're down to like 32 acres. When my grandfather bought the farm, he paid $2,000 for it back then, and it was 100 acres. So part of that land now is Hidden Hollow Golf Course, and 12 acres abuts our property that was sold to Kings back then, which Santa's bought, and now Santa's children live there, and then there's an out-of-town person moved next door to us. So there's quite a bit of history there. But my grandfather was a big cow farmer, dairy farmer.
Alright, what other farms were in that neighborhood?
Oh, well, I could give you names, but they were all farms. They're all vegetable farms, chicken farmers, hog farmers, and dairy farmers. There was all farms back then. I could go around the block and tell you every farmer that lived there and farmed what they farmed.
Alright, so what were you farming specifically?
Our biggest crop was potatoes and corn. And we used to go into Providence Market and Valley Street down there, and we used to sell to the peddlers and speculators, and they used to have push carts. They used to push their vegetables. They had these wagons. They put a bushel or 2 of corn and a bag of potatoes and maybe a crate of lettuce, and they would push it up Federal Hill and up to College Hill there with these push carts, these little Italian guys. They were strong as ox. It's unbelievable. But we used to go there and deliver and sell all our stuff from the farms, and all the farmers in Rehoboth did. But once the supermarkets started bringing these chains in, they kind of killed that market. So when my dad retired, well, he passed away at a young age of 69, I took over the farm, and then her and we started going to the Fall River farmers markets and sell the stuff off the truck. So she used to go Wednesdays, and I would go Saturdays. And then when I retired, I was going to continue farming. My son wanted to farm, so he took over the farm, and he started planting all butternut squash. So he used to take out a couple thousand bushels of squash out of there every fall. And that's about it. Now that we're both retired, we're kind of taking it a little bit easier now.
Did you ever have like a specific farm stand, or you just went to this farmer's market?
No, we went to the farm. We used to take 300-400 bushels of corn down, sometimes 2 truckloads. So it was pretty big back then, you know. We were called the Corn Kings, so we raised a lot of corn.
But usually a middleman would buy it, and then he would.
Yeah, but we sold a lot to people like the little stores, the little family stores, and peddlers that used to go peddle in the houses in the city, and some speculators would buy some, and when the farmers all left, they would catch the people that came in later, and they would sell to them. You know?
Alright, where did you get your farming supplies?
Well, way back then it was Eastern States and Taunton. I don't know if any of your other interviewers dealt with them, but they were the only ones back then. It was up near the railroad tracks, because the freight train used to come in and bring fertilizer and corn seed and all that. And then it was Agway. Well, even Agway is kind of dried out. I mean, they're only into the small stuff now. I think most of our farmers now get their stuff from Harris Seed. We used to get all our seed from Harris Seed, corn seed and stuff like that.
They're in New York?
Yeah, up in New York. Ithaca, New York. Ithaca, New York, I should say.
All right, let's change directions for a little bit about you yourself. What kind of chores did you have as a child?
Well, when I was just a little guy coming home from school, me and my brother, we had to go next door to my grandmother's house and fill her wood box so she could keep her stove going. And then we had to take care of our own furnace in the cellar. So that's what we did when we were small. And then in the summertime, we grabbed hose and went out in the field when we got home from school. So we didn't have time to play. We didn't do baseball and football and that stuff. So.
At what age did you really begin to have an active?
Probably 7 or 8. I mean, we all did. Everything was done by hand. We didn't have no machinery. My dad, my 2 older brothers would plant, and me and my brother and my oldest sister would cover with the hose. We'd plant corn, everything was by hand. Beans, everything by hand.
What sort of fun things, if any recreational things?
Well, there wasn't many fun things there. But my dad did buy me a pony because I hounded him so bad that he lost and I won. So, and then I made that foolish gig there with the hay rake and the bicycle wheels, and I had fun riding him around the farm, And one day I came home from school, my oldest brother said, "Man, I fixed up a nice bicycle for you." So I was so happy. I go running out in the garage, and there's this bicycle all together. He made out of spare parts, but it didn't have any tubes and tires on it. You ever try to ride a bike on the rims with no tubes and tires? You want to try it sometime. Not very much fun. But then with some of the fun things, and another time, my brother had a wagon, and my father used to buy grease by the 5-gallon bucket. And my brother painted the wagon with the grease with a shingle. When my dad come home, you know what happened to him, don't you? So it was foolish things with a lot of people in our family. There was always something going on.
Were there any chores that you really loved or really hated?
Well, I like driving a tractor, no doubt, like everybody else did, But I never hated it. I loved the farm. I loved the farm. It was a good life.
You mentioned the pony. Could you tell me a little bit more about that?
Well, he was a Welsh pony my dad bought, and I had a saddle for it, but, we all wanted to be cowboys when we were kids, And so I got 2 bicycle wheels and made up couple trees like you see there, and got a hay rake seat from the old hay rake and put it on there, and I used to ride around the farm with it.
What was his name?
Blackie. Naturally, he was black, I guess his name was Blackie.
How old were you at that point?
I was probably 12, 11 or 12, something like that.
All right, so describe a typical day when you're around 8 or 10 years old.
Well, typical day was come home from school, change your clothes, and grab the hoe and go out in the field and hoe. Me and my older sister done a lot of hoeing because my older brothers done the tractor work. They would take turns, and because we done a lot of farm. We had 50 acres on our farm that we planted, and we rented 22 down the road. And this tractor only cultivated 1 row and plowed, 1 plow, so the tractor never stopped. So, and I being like the 4th boy, it was hard for me to get a chance to get on it. So when I got on it, that was a big deal.
And what school did you go to?
I went to Pleasant Street, 6th grade, and I went to Anawan to the 9th grade. And I left school at 15 to help my dad on a farm. And I got up one morning and I said, "Dad, I think I'm gonna quit school and I'm gonna work with you on a farm." He says, "That's good." He says, "You go out and you load so many bags of seed potato on a truck and so many bags of fertilizer, and we're gonna go plant potatoes." And here we are. But I loved it. I didn't care. I didn't like school, and I done good for my life without the education. So you either have a good mind or a strong back. If you got that, you've got everything.